How's it going, boys? Hattrick Line back with another video. And in this one we're going to be talking about forgotten NHL stars. You know, guys that were able to do big things in their careers but aren't really remembered too much as a star, or just remembered in general really for what they did in the NHL. We got 5 players on the list, and most of their careers span from the 90s to the 2000s to the late 2000s. And with that said, let's get into the first player. So the first player I have on the list is Andrew Brunette. Now, Brunette was drafted in the 7th round by the Capitals in 1993. Over the course of his career, he played for the Caps, he played for the Predators, the Thrashers, the Wild, the Avalanche, and Chicago. In 1,110 NHL career games, he put up 268 goals and 465 assists for 733 points. And his best statistical season in the NHL came in 2006-2007, when in 82 games he put up 27 goals, 56 assists, and 83 points. Now, Brunette's kind of one of those guys who's not really known as a star. He was kind of just known as a pretty decent player throughout his career, but he did definitely put up some really good numbers over the course of his career. He broke 60 points multiple times. His best season was, like I said, in 06-07 when he put up 83 points. He would never really put up numbers like that. He was more consistent 50, 60 point guy. But definitely a great playmaker, and Andrew Brunette doesn't really get a lot of credit, but he is definitely one of the better players and definitely one of the better playmakers that we've seen within the last couple years. So up next on the list, I have Ziggy or Zygmunt Palffy, and this is definitely an interesting one because I knew of Palffy before this video, but I didn't know too much about him or how good he actually really was. He was drafted in the 2nd round, 26th overall by the Islanders in 1991. Later in his career, he would go on to play for the Islanders, the Kings, and the Penguins. In his NHL career, he played in 684 games, he scored 329 goals and 384 assists for 713 points, and his best season came in 96-97, when in 80 games played, he put up 48 goals and 42 assists for 90 points. Now, that was pretty much his best season, because when I look at the goals and the assists, that's like the highlight season. He did put up 89 points in 2000-2001 with significant less games played, but I figured the 48 goals is definitely something that you want on the screen, as opposed to the 38 goals and the 51 assists. He did miss like 10 more games, I think, that season, but I like the numbers for the 96-97 season better. But Ziggy Palffy is a very interesting one because I didn't know he was that much of an offensive threat, and he was a real goal scorer in his time. Later in his career, he had played for LA. He went to the KHL for, 2 years, I think, in 2004, made a comeback, put up 42 points in 42 games in 2005-2006 for the Penguins in his NHL return, but went back to Slovakia after that, and definitely a great career for Ziggy Palffy. A very offensively dominant player, and not someone I knew too much about before the video, but I definitely know him now. So next up on the list, we have Pavel Dmitri. Now, Dmitri was drafted in the 9th round of the 1993 NHL draft by the Ottawa Senators. Over the course of his career, he would go on to play for the Sens, the Blues, the Kings, the Wild, and the Canucks. In his NHL career, in 847 games played, he had 304 goals, 464 assists, and 768 points. His best season came in 2002-2003, when in 78 games played, he scored 36 goals and had 57 assists for 93 points. Unfortunately, Pavel Dmitri was involved in the 2011 locomotive plane crash. The plane carrying the entire locomotive KHL team crashed, and everyone on board passed away in the accident. It was really tragic. I remember reacting to it. I was a lot younger, so I didn't really understand it too much, but it's just crazy that the entire team went down. Obviously, we lost a lot of great players and talent on board, but Pavel Dmitri is definitely remembered and loved by many, and is definitely a forgotten star, but keep Pavel Dmitri in your thoughts, everybody. He's a great player and will definitely be missed. So up next on the list, I have Martin Straka. Now, Straka was drafted 19th overall by the Penguins in 1992. He would go on to play for the Penguins, the Senators, the Islanders, the Panthers, the Kings, and the Rangers in his career. In his NHL career, he put up 954 games played with 257 goals, 460 assists, and 717 points. And his best season came in 2000-2001 when in 82 games he put up 27 goals and a whopping 68 assists for 95 points. So like many of the players on this list, Straka, definitely known as a playmaker. Like I said, 68 assists is crazy. Back in 2000-2001 when he put it up. Straka found pretty much immediate success in the NHL when in his second season he put up 64 points, 30 goals and 34 assists. But his career was plagued by injuries, as for the next 5 seasons after that, he failed to play more than 45 games in any of the seasons. So a career that definitely could have had a lot more than 717 points. He could have been a 1,000 game played, 1,000 point scorer, I think. But lost a lot of time to injury, but definitely one of the greater players of the 90s and early 2000s. Put up a lot of points with Pittsburgh during their dominant run in the late 90s and mid 90s, and definitely a very good player. And I think a lot of people don't really think of Martin Straka, but a great player overall. Not someone I knew a whole lot about before this video, but after doing the research, definitely a great player. Now the last player I have on the list is Danny Briere. Briere started his NHL career off with the then Phoenix Coyotes after he was drafted 24th overall by them in 1996. Other teams he would play for in his career other than the Coyotes were the Sabres, the Flyers, the Canadiens, and finally he would play for the Avalanche. In his NHL career he played almost 1,000 games. He had 973 games played, 307 goals, and 389 assists for 696 points. And his best season came in 2006-2007 when in 81 games he put up 32 goals and 63 assists for 95 points. Now Briere might be a lot fresher in people's minds. You know, he definitely just left the league recently, so you know, he was playing, you know, within like 2014, 2015 was his last year. He was playing within the last 5 years, but definitely not a guy to mess around with. In the mid-2000s, Briere was piling on the points. Had a bunch of consecutive, you know, 60, 90, 70, 70, 50 point seasons. He was definitely an offensive threat. He could score goals. He could, you know, pile up assists. He was a great player. And I don't think a lot of people remember him as the great he was. You know, he was kind of, wasn't the best on the way out. He definitely had a slump when he went out of the league. But Danny Briere is definitely a forgotten star in the NHL. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was a blast from the past, remembering some of these names. And honestly, I really hope I helped you learn of a player that maybe you didn't know of before this video. I knew of all the players in the video, but I didn't know of really how impactful they were at the NHL level. Definitely guys like Palffy and Dmitri and Straka. I had no clue that they were such, you know, great players that they really were. So it was definitely eye-opening for me. I hope I could help open some eyes as well. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. As always, if you have any suggestions for any videos, put them in the comments below. If you like the video, give it a like. And if you want to see more, maybe subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.